the questions. Okay, now I go to your tutorial team under class notebook. So today we will discuss two tutorials from chapter 5. Satu adalah one sample, dan the other one is two sample. Okay, Ismi yang lain tak masukkan lagi chapter 5 punya question. Ya, if possible, setiap kali ada tutorial questions in mass lecture team kan, so you can copy and paste it here so that we don't have to go to the mass lecture and check the question. Okay, then now we have this tutorial group. Class, is that okay that we go group by group? Maksudnya we look at, okay, for example, group 1, we look at the one sample and two sample. Atau now lihat semua one sample dulu. Yeah, maybe we look at all the one sample and then baru pergi ke two sample pula. Okay, kumpulan pertama, Yana, jawapan dekat mana ya for your vacation survey? Is Yana around? Yana ke dia or Karina? Okay, now let's go to kumpulan kedua, Ismi. Consumer Transportation Survey, question 1. In your class notebook?
Yes, madam.
Okay, so I check on yours. Okay, this is one sample. Individual spent at least 8 hours, per week in their vehicle. So in the question, in the question, the dimensions more, all the 4 questions, right? All the 4 questions are referring to the null hypothesis. So jadi yang ini you letak dekat null hypothesis. This is correct. Ini null hypothesis. And since you have this in your null hypothesis, your alternative hypothesis will be less than 8, right? So individual spend at least 8 hours. So di sini dia tak compare. The individual comes from the urban area atau rural area, or it is based on the gender, right? So we have one group, right? Kita ambil semua individual yang ada dalam dataset, and then we compare, and then we check whether they spend at least 8 hours in their vehicle per week. Yeah. So these are all the steps. And yeah. Okay, look at the, so my answer here on this, I have, is it consumer transportation? So this is the answer. So nanti kita check lah. Okay, so yang ni betul. Okay, this is your p-value, critical value, t-test, and then your decision is to not reject. Right? We look at kumpulan Ismi. This means your t-test is -2 eh? Oh, okay. Why -2 eh? You follow the steps, huh? Okay, let's say mungkin yeah, you have this your mean, right? Your mean minus with mu, right? Kalau mean minus mu, mean lebih besar kan? Yeah, correct or not? It's me. So look at this formula. Right? Your x bar minus mu, right? X bar is larger than mu, so should be positive, right? Mungkin it's me, you ambil yang terbalik kot. Okay, so this is so you need to have positive, right? Positive 0.2198. Maybe you can check in the cell. Dekat cell tu you guna formula apa kan? Okay, that's me. Okay, and then your critical value is 1.676, yeah, correct. And then decision is do not reject issue, yeah, because since your critical value is greater than the test statistic, yeah, decision is do not reject issue. As for the p value, you compare your p value with alpha. So p value here I got 0.58. Yeah, how come it's me? Macam mana you dapat yang ini ya? I got this 0.58. So you still get the decision do not reject ratio. So that is not sufficient to prove the prove the statement in the statement in the alternative hypothesis. Yeah. Okay. Ismi, maybe you can check whether you have got this value correct, right? And then yang ni kena negative, kena positive, right? Okay, it's me. Kumpulan it's me ada soalan berkaitan dengan ni. Do you have any questions to ask?
No, madam. Yes,
Okay.
nanti saya cek.
Nanti cuba tengok balik. Okay, kumpulan ketiga. Ya, it's me. Kumpulan it's me dah done. So this one done. Okay, kumpulan ketiga kan. Siapa ya? Where should I go to get the answer? Kumpulan ketiga, Consumer Transportation Survey, question 2. Ya, Mira, Faiza atau Humaira? Which one? Adakah you all?
Humaira.
Humaira. I'm gonna make sure semua match. Okay, Humaira's punya. So let's check. Humaira, this the question number 2. So I can't remember what is the question. Okay, individual drive an average of 600 miles per week in the vehicle. So individual drive an average of. Okay, so this one you should put it in your null hypothesis. Okay, kumpulan. Oh, this is two sample. Soalan yang ni, kalau saya tengok ni macam two sample. Betul saya pergi yang ini. Anda Humaira, tu kan tutorial. Ini tutorial yang mana? Humaira. Transportation survey. Betul dah soalan dia? Ya, kumpulan Amira dengan Humaira. Yang ni betul you punya jawapan?
Yang tu.
Untuk soalan mana ya? Yang ni? Is this the question? Ya, you kena tulis soalan. Sebab Q2, this is Consumer Transportation Survey, Q2 yang correct. Ya, Humaira and the gang kan? Kenapa you all tulis ya, dia punya statement adalah yang ini kan? Baik, yang ni adalah one group saja, one group. But di sini kalau you tulis mu1, mu2 kan, maksudnya ada dua group yang you nak compare. So, tak boleh tak boleh macam tu. Tak betul lah. So, you only have mu. So, now hypothesis, alternative hypothesis. So, maybe you can define what is your mu. Mu is miles driven per week by individual, right? By individual. So, you have this mu equals 600. And then alternative hypothesis mu is not equal to 600. So if you have this alternative hypothesis not equal sign, right? So you akan ada two tail, right? Yeah. So kumpulan you all you kena buat semula ya. So yang ni tak betul. And I check your critical value also incorrect ya. Your critical value is 2.0 something, and then your test statistic, mine is 2.36, and my sample size here is 50, right? Sample size here is 50. Okay, yeah, Kumla Amira, are you okay? Do you have any questions? Ada apa yang tak faham? So this one you have to make correction. Salah tak apa ya, yang penting kita tahu silap kat mana kan, so that masa you all nak buat assignment ke, nak buat tutorial, nak buat group project, you dah faham. Ya, so kumpulan Amira, Faiza, and dalam tu ada Faiza dengan Humaira, you all buat semula ya, untuk yang Consumer Transportation Survey question 2. Okay, kumpulan ketiga, we have here Husnaida, ya, Atika and Ayu. Yang I will have to refer to which class novel. Atika. Okay. So Atika question. Okay. So Atika tulis dengan jelas lah, ada divide into sections. Okay, here you have the average age of SUV drivers is no larger than 35. Okay, here you define your mu kan. So mu is the the average age of SUV driver, right? Drivers, any drivers. Okay. And then your null hypothesis, your mu. Ya, soalan ini lain sedikit dengan soalan-soalan yang kita tengok kan. Soalan ini dia bagi tahu semua all these questions adalah null hypothesis. All these questions adalah based on the null hypothesis. So you gonna tunjuk yang null hypothesis lah based on this statement. Okay, so average age of SUV drivers is no larger than 35 years. So null hypothesis is less than or equal to 35, and then your alternative hypothesis mu is greater than 35. Okay, so yang ni betul. And for this question, you have to be careful because you have many type of drivers. Some of the drivers who drive truck, ada yang SUV, ada yang minivan. But here you need to get SUV drivers. So meaning that you cari yang SUV drivers, right? So in my case, kalau SUV drivers, the rest kan ada 50 observation. But when we check on the SUV drivers, dia punya N kan? So this is N. So the N atau sample size is only 15. 15 saja. Okay. So here is 15. Okay, correct. 15, and then the average of semua you dah calculate, and then you substitute in the formula. So you have the t-test equals to 2.2211. Okay, this is correct. And then your alpha is 5%. Critical value is 1.7613. Okay, then to make decision based on the p-value, critical value approach first. So you compare these two, it is found that your decision is to reject HO. This happened because your test statistic is larger than the critical value. Because of this situation, then your decision is reject HO. And then you need to double check with the p-value approach, right? P-value, since your p-value is smaller than alpha, so decision reject HO juga. And then conclusion is, there is sufficient evidence to support the alternative hypothesis. So we can say that the average age of SUV drivers is greater than 35 years old. So yang ni betul ya. Okay, so next we look at kumpulan 4. Ini betul. And then next kita ada kumpulan 5. Ideal mirror dengan Zahid. I refer to any vacation survey. Saya refer yang mana ya?
Ideal.
Ideal. Okay, saya pun bagi dengan section according to the section. This is 2 sample, 1 sample. So your question also the same, vacation survey. So your question here is vacation survey also. Kalau vacation survey, so you kena lihat vacation survey, right? Ideal. In my vacation survey, nanti saya tengok. Soalan dia lebih kurang sama.
Yeah,
Oh,
madam.
yeah. Okay, let me check. Vacation survey. Okay. This is my vacation survey. Yeah, still the same. Test whether the average age of respondent. So yang ni semua adalah kita punya customers kan. Kita nak check kita punya respondent is equal to 35 years. Okay, so now we can check the answer. This one. Oops, terbalik. Okay, so yeah. So based on this statement, your alternative and null hypothesis, you tulis macam ni, yeah, correct. And then the rest you go to according to the formula. And then your test, your t-test is 2.7, yeah, correct. Critical value is my critical value, yeah, ideal. My critical value saya dapat 2.03. Yeah. So ideal, can you check? I use this formula. Any formula? Two tail. You use one tail or two tail? Ideal? We need two tail, right? Ideal, you check and see.
Okay.
Yeah, ni. Okay. Okay, and say for example, your critical value, right, is smaller than test statistic. So your decision is still reject H4, right? And for p-value, yes, this is correct. P-value is smaller than alpha, decision reject H4. You have the two tail in the distribution, right? You have two tail. So your test statistic falls in the rejection region. Okay, so ideal you check yang critical value for two tail. Berapa nilai dia?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, next we have the ideal. Ideal done. Okay, next last one for one sample ya, kita ada consumer transportation survey question number 2 from Omar atau Eha atau Jana. So saya refer yang mana?
Omar, madam.
Okay, Omar. Okay, individual drive an average of 600 miles per week. So yang ni betul. Your meal, right? You can define your meal as average miles driven, right? Betul. Critical value tadi saya tak ingat dah, so I have to check this one. This is so consumer transportation survey. So consumer transportation survey B, right? Okay. So your test statistic is 2.3, yeah. And your critical value, can you check your critical value? Sama ya, yang ni. This is two-tail, yeah? Two-tail. So Omar, you check and see two-tail dia keluar macam ni tak? And your p-value correct? Any correct decision, reject HO, right? Yeah. Okay, Omar and the gang, you check and see your decision is reject HO kan? Kenapa tulis there is no sufficient? Right. Biasanya kalau our decision is reject HO kan, kita jangan relate dengan yang null hypothesis. Yeah. Don't relate with null hypothesis anymore. So you just say that there is sufficient evidence to support the alternative hypothesis. Biasanya kita akan letak statement yang kita nak investigate dekat alternative hypothesis. So if you have decision reject HO, then you can say that there is sufficient evidence to support the alternative hypothesis, and it can be concluded that the average the average age of the SUV drivers, sorry, this is not age kan. So the average miles driven by SUV driver is equals to is not equal to 600 miles, right? It's not equal to 600 miles. Yeah. So you have to correct this statement. Yeah. So you can say there is sufficient evidence to conclude that individual drive an average of not equal, yeah, not equal to 600 miles per week. Yeah. So biasanya kita nak investigate benda yang apa benda yang kita nak investigate, kita kena letak dekat alternative. So kalau kita dapat decision reject HO, yang ni baguslah. We can conclude that there is sufficient evidence to support the alternative. Boleh ke kelas? Yeah, not only for Omar's punya group, yeah. So the rest also you can, based on our discussion, kan, maybe you can understand that better. Okay, we have done with one sample. Okay, yang pertama ada buat dah Yana, Dia dan Karina. Ada ke tak ada dalam grup ni? Are you in today's class? Okay, next we go to kumpulan kedua pula, ya. So this time we look at the two sample. Yeah, first ialah purchase orders question 1. Kumpulan ISMI. So I refer to ISMI saja. Betul? Also referring to ISMIs. This is ideal. Okay. ISMIs punya two sample. Okay, determine if the mean lead time for Hauke fastener and Manley Valve are different. Right? So this is the thing that you need to put in your alternative hypothesis. Right? This is very important, yeah. So because now you have two mu, kan? Ada dua mu. So kalau you all tulis macam ni, saya tak tahu mu1 tu adalah untuk Hauke fastener atau Manley Valve, right? So you have to let, right? Let mu1 equals to mean lead time for Hauke fastener, and then mu2 equals mean lead time for Manley Valve, right? Baru kita baca, kita faham, ya. So now hypothesis macam ni, alternative hypothesis macam. Why you have alternative macam ni? Sebab dia punya keyword di sini are different, right? So this is what we want to investigate. So you put in the alternative hypothesis. Okay. Now you run the analysis, and based on the analysis, the test statistic is very small. And you see, if you have this not equal sign in the alternative hypothesis, you will be having two tail in the distribution. Therefore, you look at two tail, right? That bukan lagi untuk one tail. And your two tail p-value, two tail critical value. So critical value, critical value is larger than the test statistic. Decision do not reject issue. So yang ni pun sama. So conclusion is the mean lead time for Hawking fastener and Manley Warp are not different, right? That they are the same lah. You can say, yeah. So yang ni negative kan, so they are positive. They are the same, right? So there is no sufficient evidence to prove the alternative hypothesis. So you can say that atau they are the same also can. So ini betul. Okay, so this is purchase order question 1. I can close this. So this is 2 sample. Yeah, I have purchase order. So kalau purchase order, my answer is so sama lah kan? Yes. So this is Hawking fastener and Manley Warp, right? So compare dengan yang kumpulan ISMI, right? Same. Okay, next, so this is done. Tutorial. So ISMI punya group done. Yeah, both done. Okay, next we have the kumpulan ketiga, Mira, Faiza and Humaira. So I refer to Humaira juga. Apa?
Ya, madam.
Okay. Okay. Also question 1. Humaira also question 1 kan? Wait. Tadi is me question 1. Humaira, you are supposed to answer question 2. Question 2.
Saya dah tulis question 1 tu. Betul dah rasanya
Question 2.
2.
Okay, so this is question 2. Nanti bagi ya. So you can delete my read in sini. So what is question 2? I have to look at the question. So I check the question 2, determine if, okay. Oh, any question, this is question 2, yeah. Mean lead time for steel pin is smaller than the space-time technology. So steel pin lead time lebih kecil daripada space-time technology. So you're gonna tulis lah, mean lead time for steel pin, and yang ni ialah you gonna ada mean lead time. Tak boleh tulis lead time saja. Kalau you all nak buat group project pun sama. Saya dapati student dia terus tulis nama saja. Dia tak bagi tahu okay variable apa. This is the name of the company kan. But what you want to check on this. So you want to look at the variable lead time. So nak cari mean lead time, yeah. This mean lead time for space-time technology. Okay, soalan ada kat sini is smaller than. So you want to investigate whether what is this? MO. MO and so you need to write mu kan. So yang ni mu1, mu2. So this is mu1, mu2 juga lah. Okay, so mu1 steel pin. Mean lead time for steel pin is smaller than space-time technology. So maksudnya mu1 minus mu2 is less than 0, right? So ini mu1 minus mu2 is less than 0. Less than 0 maksudnya mean lead time untuk steel pin tolak dengan mean lead time untuk space time technology, dia dapat less than 0, maksudnya dia dapat negatif. Ini menunjukkan mean lead time untuk space time technology lebih besar daripada mean lead time untuk steel pin, right? So you can write this way. Okay, so hypothesis dah betul, cuma simbol saja, kan? Okay, now you run the analysis, right? Let's check, kita ada 15 and 12, right? So you can, so this is your mu1, mu2 lah. Saya tulis, yeah, so I understood this is for steel pin and this is for space-time technology. Okay, so check my answer, question number 3, right? So I have this, right? Saya ada tulis the mu, define mu1, mu2. And then this is my answer. I have steel pin 15, space-time technology I have 12. Okay. Okay, you see, lebih kurang sama. So 1.96. Yeah. And yeah, you have to be careful kumpulan Humaira, Humaira, yang ni you have this hypothesis, kan? Right? Hypothesis ni adalah one tail sahaja. Right? When you draw it, yang ni less than kosong, kan? So it's symmetry about the mean. Maksudnya dia adalah negative, right? So one tail saja. Then you have to look at one tail. Dekat sini one tail, right? So you jangan highlight yang ini. Highlight yang ini, one tail. Okay? Boleh ke?
Okay, madam.
And then now you can compare lah based on one tail, kan? Nanti you buat correction, yang ni you boleh delete yang saya conteng, so you buat yang betul. Okay, so now lihat yang sini. So for one tail, kan, your test statistic is negative 1.9642 and you compare with your critical value. So critical value this one, test statistic, yang ni you take dia punya modulus, yang ni jadi positif, compare dengan 1.7. So test statistic lebih besar, decision is reject HO, right? Your decision, you reject HO. And okay, next we have this p-value. You compare your p-value one tail, right? 0.0356 compared dengan alpha 5%. So your decision also is reject HO, right? So kalau kita lukis kat sini pun kita dapati kita punya decision, kita punya test statistic adalah negative 1.9, kan? It falls in the rejection region. So maksudnya yang ni kita kena reject HO. So we have sufficient evidence to support the alternative hypothesis, saying that the mean lead time for steel pin incorporation is smaller than the space-time technology. So kita ada, so maksudnya if we run this analysis, right, you know that lead time is the time when we start to place order until the stock reach our place. So kalau lead time yang lagi singkat, lagi bagus lah, right? Yang ni boleh membantu syarikat menjimatkan masa. So kalau kita nak buat keputusan either to continue doing business with steel pin incorporation atau nak guna space-time technology. Kalau kita buat analisis macam ni, kita confirm, kita ada bukti yang cukup menyatakan steel pin, kan? Steel pin technology mempunyai mean lead time yang lebih singkat, lebih kecil daripada space-time technology. So if you have, if you need to make the decision to choose one of this firm, so you kena choose yang pertama lah, sebab dia punya lead time lebih kecil, right? So that is the scenario lah kenapa kita nak buat kajian ini. Okay, and then yeah, I want you to look at here. Okay, this is one tail, yeah. So now let's focus yang ini dulu. Okay, you look at your test statistic, you dapat negative, right? Right? and you have the alternative hypothesis, you have less than 0. Okay, kalau kita buat keputusan, kita punya decision bercanggah kan, so you have to come to this slide, right? Remember the other day I asked you to remind me to explain slide ini, okay, for interpretation and when you are into sample. Okay, so interpret Excel output, yeah. Okay, if test statistic, okay, if test statistic tadi kita dapat negatif kan, okay, if test statistic is negative, okay, one tail p value is the correct p value. So kalau you ada kita dapat p value from the analysis toolbar kan, so this is the correct p value. This is the correct p value for a lower tail test. So maksudnya apa yang kita buat dekat sini? Ya. Your test statistic is negative, okay? You have one tail to the left, right? One tail p-value is the correct p-value for the lower tail test. Lower tail tu maksudnya tail to the left, the lower tail dekat left hand side, right? So apa yang kita dapat dekat p-value adalah yang betul. Ya. Tetapi, however, for an upper tail test, in case your test statistic you dapat negative juga, but your alternative hypothesis you have greater sign kan, so maksudnya you have the right tail, right? So kalau kita ada right tail with negative test statistic, so you must subtract the number from 1 to get the correct p-value, right? So yang tu untuk okay. Tadi kita lihat semua yang senario pertama, ya. So our test statistic is negative, and we also have our test statistic is negative, and we also have the lower tail test. So p-value yang kita dapat tu betul, kita tak perlu adjust apa-apa, right? Kalaulah kalau kita punya test statistic adalah negatif, but our distribution ada upper tail. So yang ni decision adalah upper tail. Okay, so p-value yang kita dapat dalam analisis tu, kita tak boleh ambil dia terus untuk compare dengan alpha. Kita kena tolak dengan 1, barulah p-value yang betul, right? Ya, kalau you dapat decision yang bercanggah antara p-value and critical value, so you have to come to this slide and then try to look at, do you have to adjust anything, right? Okay, are you okay? Do you have any questions on this?
Okay, madam.
Okay, so far we haven't got any example that can explain yang second scenario. Kita cuma ada yang first scenario, right? Okay, similar to another situation, kalau kita punya test statistic is positive, right? Positive, the p-value in the output is the correct p-value for the upper tail, right? Tetapi if you have the test statistic positive and you have the lower tail, so p-value yang kita dapat tu kita kena buat adjustment dulu. Kita kena ambil 1 tolak dengan p-value yang ada, that only you get the correct p-value, right? Yeah. So yang ni sedikit adjustment that you need to make when you have the 2 sample. Okay, and then yeah, so maksudnya your test statistic is negative, your distribution is the lower tail, then this is the correct p-value. P-value yang betul. Kalaulah kita dapat test statistic negative, but you have the upper tail. You have the upper tail yang ni. So p-value yang ada dekat sini, you kena ambil satu tolak dengan p-value, then only you get the actual atau the correct p-value for your analysis. Yang tu maksud dia. Yeah. Okay, and then yeah, let's proceed ya. Kita proceed saja. Okay, we look at, so next one, untuk yang ini, you have to make correction ya. Make sure you buat correction nanti bila you nak buat revision, dapat you have the correct answer. Okay, next we have so kumpulan Mira ya. So here also you need to make correction. So I tick ni sebab saya dah check ya. Yang tak tick tu tak check lagi. Okay, next we have the kumpulan 4, Unaida Atika. So I also refer to Atika's punya. Betul ke? To sample. Okay, now let's take a look at here. Determine if the mean lead time for alum sheeting is greater than the mean lead time for the durable product. So durable product is the name of the company kan. So mu1 is the mean lead time. Yeah. So mu1, mu adalah average kan. So you kena adalah mean lead time. Okay. Mu2 adalah mean lead time for another company. Okay. Now, back to the question. Okay, so greater than. So maksudnya alum sheeting mean lead time is, we want to investigate kan whether the mean lead time for alum sheeting is greater than the durable products lead time, right? So mu1 tolak dengan mu2 is greater than 0. Okay, so in this case you have the upper tail, right? You have the upper tail. Okay, so the test statistic you run, you get this, right? Yeah, since your alternative hypothesis, you only have one tail, so you refer to the p-value 1 tail and critical value 1 tail, right? Okay, decision, yeah, your decision reject HO for both the p-value and critical value, right? So ini betul. So this means that there is sufficient evidence, statistical evidence to conclude that the mean lead time for alum sheeting is significantly greater than the mean lead time for durable product, right? So ini betul. Okay. Now, kalau lah, for example, we have this, kita ada negative, right? So kita ada di sini distribution adalah the lower tail. Sorry, this is upper tail. So p-value yang kita dapat tu adalah betul. Kalau lah kita dapat negative, and then yang ni adalah right tail. So p-value yang kita dapat tu kita kena ambil satu tolak dengan p-value baru dapat p-value yang betul. Right? Yang tu lah maksud dia. Okay? So you look at the you look at the yang ni. Okay, if test statistic is non-negative, right? Kalau positif lah, the p-value that you have is the correct p-value if you have the upper tail. But if you have the lower tail, so you kena ambil satu tolak dengan p-value dalam kita punya output, baru kita boleh dapat the correct p-value. Right? Yang tu maksudnya. Okay? Yeah, I think let's continue ya. Kita continue. Yeah, before we continue, any questions? Ada apa nak tanya?
Saya ada. Macam mana bila kita nak guna tu dekat null hipotesis atas kan, yang simbol grade apa ni, lower or same, yang ada garis kat bawah tu, yang null hipotesis.
Yang ni? Okay, yang ni based on the question lah, right? Okay, biasanya saya bagi tahu kan, alternative hypothesis adalah based on apa yang kita nak cari, apa yang kita nak investigate. And biasanya null hypothesis based on the standard atau the currently accepted value atau based on the historical data. Tapi untuk case ini kan, kalau compare dengan yang we have consumer transportation survey, saya bagi tahu kan yang ni adalah lain sedikit sebab dia dah mention yang ni based on the following null hypothesis. So you kena, setiap statement yang ada dekat sini adalah null hypothesis. Biasanya kalau if we have the hypothesis, right, kita kena letak statement yang kita nak cari dekat alternative hypothesis. Okay, so kita nak determinekan if the mean lead time for this one and this are different. So yang ni kita letak dekat alternative hypothesis. Okay, determine if the mean lead time for a steel pin is smaller. So yang ni kita kena letak dekat alternative hypothesis. So kalau kita letak dekat alternative hypothesis macam ni, dia punya pairing adalah greater than or equal to. Semua ni saya dah explain dekat dan saya dah letak dekat mass lecture kan. Okay, you see, look at the mass lecture, chapter 5, right? So saya ada letak dia punya, okay, in the library content. So chapter 5, so saya dah letak kan. Yang ni senario pertama, kedua, ketiga, memang dah dia punya, dah fix dah. If your alternative hypothesis adalah greater than, so your null hypothesis must be less than or equal to. Kalau your second scenario, your mu is less than, your alternative hypothesis must be greater than or equal to, right? Kalau scenario not equal sign in your alternative hypothesis, your null hypothesis dia kena equal to. And then satu lagi yang you kena faham adalah for null hypothesis, semua null hypothesis dia mesti ada equal, right? So you see, yang ni less than or equal to. Yang kedua, greater than or equal to. Yang ketiga, equal to, right? Null hypothesis dia kena ada equal to. Alternative hypothesis tak boleh ada equal to, right? You see, first scenario, alternative hypothesis greater than. Second, less than. Yang ketiga, not equal to, right? Yang tu memang dia punya syarat dah. Dia punya pairing, you kena tahu. Yeah, and then this is for the two sample. Two sample, dia punya pairing macam tu juga. Yeah? Baik kan? Okay, and then look at the tutorial. Let's continue. Okay, so we have okay, Atika punya done, right? This is done. Okay, then ideal. Is that yours for group 5 purchase order question 4?
Yes.
Yeah, ideal. Okay. Two sample. Okay, you have the question here. Ideal. Yang mana? D kan? Okay. Determine if the mean lead time for fast-key aerospace is different from the memory block. So kalau different tu maksudnya alternative hypothesis equal, not equal to, right? Okay. So saya besarkan sikit. I need to enlarge this. So. Okay. Ideal. Yang ni yang first kan, that you, yang ni you check whether you have got it correct. Kita nak lihat yang ini. Okay, mean lead time for fast-T aerospace, mu1, mu2 is manual. Okay, that means you have two tail in the distribution, right? So maksudnya bila keluar analysis, you kena lihat two tail. Okay, so this is correct. Yeah, and it based on the question, right? And then critical value approach, you see, yeah, your critical value is 2.063 and the test statistic is 2.95. So decision reject HO, right? Yeah, you can say since CV critical value is smaller than test statistic or that statistic is larger than critical value, so decision is reject HO, right? For p-value approach also the same. Yeah, reject HO since p-value is smaller than alpha. Okay, so your conclusion is mean lead time for fast-T aerospace is significantly different from the main valve. So there is sufficient evidence to support the alternative hypothesis. Yeah. So yang ni mungkin you letak yang first lah, and then yeah, this is the first, and then you explain in second. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, madam.
Yes. Okay. So kumpulan ideal, kumpulan 4. So settle. Oh, okay, kumpulan kelima. And then we have kumpulan mana? 6 kan? Is it Omar? Omar, I look at your page, right? Okay. Betul ke, Omar? So chapter 2, right? Chapter 2, right? So Omar, you kena buat dengan systematic lah, right? Next time you want to do revision, so the clearly written down the number, so you tak perlu cari lagi. Yang ni semua one sample, bukan two sample. Yang aku pun, excuse me. Okay, kumpulan Omar, soalan Consumer Transportation Survey question 3. Ya, letak kat mana ya jawapan? Where can I get the answer? Ya, Omar punya tak ada. Yo ada buat ke Omar? Tak ada. Okay, so kita ada. Ya?
Ada dua gambar tu. Soalan lagi satu yang consumer transportation dan lagi satu.
Ada Omar juga.
Dekat saya.
Oh, yang ni.
Yes.
Yang
Dekat chapter tu lah.
Ha? Sini.
Dekat yang chapter tu tadi.
Oh, chapter 2. Okay. So chapter 2
Tak
yang ni.
tulis.
Oh, okay. Kena scroll to the left Ada pun? Yang ni ada dua saja, Omar. Yang ni dengan yang ini. Yang ni semua one sample.
Yang kuning tu, madam.
Kuning? Yang ni?
Yep.
Tapi soalan tulis si, and then you punya analysis one sample saja, bukan two sample. So yang ni SUV driver, your so saya tulis kan, okay Omar, dalam kelas saya dah bagi tahu, okay, yang ni date untuk one sample mean, right? And then date ini bila kita dah sampai ke two sample mean, kebetulan you ambil data set yang sama, tapi you punya soalan yang ketiga, you kena lihat dalam two sample mean, bukan lagi one sample. So dalam kelas saya ada bagi tahu dah, sebab you punya lain sedikit dengan kawan, you punya dua-dua data set yang sama. Cuma satu adalah one sample, right? Yang kedua date yang ini kita dah masuk two sample kan, takkan nak buat one sample punya lagi. right? One sampel dah complete dah pada week yang sebelum this week. Ya. So nanti you buat yang ini ya, Consumer Transportation Survey question 3. So maksudnya question 3 Consumer Transportation Survey question 3. So question 3 adalah sama dengan yang kumpulan Yana. Kumpulan Yana you all ada ke tak? Dah banyak kali saya panggil. Right, 17. Dua orang lagi, you will check Yana, they all ada tak dekat sini? So ini page 1, ini page 2. Okay, can we take a short break? Because I want to give you all sebab your kalau kita lihat yang lesson plan kan, this is MGT5. Yeah. So your lesson plan, individual 1, right? Individual assignment 1 covers chapter 1 to chapter 4. So by right, this week atau next week lah kena jawab soalan individual assignment 1. Sebab kita dah habis chapter, saya dah kat chapter 4. Sekarang ni kita dah pergi ke chapter 5 kan. So you can answer this assignment 1. So later on I will brief you on your assignment 1, right? Okay, we take a short break and then you try to look at all the questions. Look at all the questions yang kita discuss, yang mana yang tak sure, kena tanya sebab kalau you faham yang hipotesis yang awal kan macam one sample atau two sample ni, nanti kita pergi ke yang belakang ke pergi ke yang belakang maksudnya kita ada ANOVA, kita ada chi-square, kita ada pet sample, so you dah faham dah. And then when we go to the regression, konsep yang sama saja, right? Make sure everyone you understand it. Okay, then we take a short break, 5 minutes break lah. I see you at 9:20. Right, I just want to brief you on your group project. Satu ialah group project. So untuk group project kan, boleh tak you all? Okay, kalau you all lihat sini kan. Boleh tak saya anggap nombor setiap grup kan, nombor 1 tu adalah group leader. So kalau you ada yang macam tidak setuju, mungkin you boleh letak bracket tu leader dekat tepi nama dia, right? Kalau tak, saya akan assume group leader adalah yang pertama. So kalau macam tu, boleh tak? Okay, Miro, Izmi, Amira, Humaida ya. Tuliskan you all punya email address, email address yang ada apa? iSiswa kan, yang dengan iSiswa. Okay, sebab saya nak distribute, saya nak you all distribute questionnaire. So untuk group leader, you boleh check you punya progress lah, yeah. So you can write it here in the Microsoft Teams atau you nak letak dekat WhatsApp group boleh juga. Then saya akan update. Okay, I see you in 4 minutes time. Yeah, you have any question? Yeah, boleh tanya lah. Okay, class, can we continue? Are you there, class? Okay. Okay, yang ni, this is for MGT555 individual assignment 1. Okay. So what I want you to do is, create a data-driven infographic, infographic report about any issue using Global Superstore 2016, right, data set. So you need data set here, okay? So you can get this data set in the Excel sheet, dalam Excel data. So this is the Global Superstore orders, 2016. Okay, underneath Global Superstore orders 2016. Okay, it must include, okay, di sini you ada data berkaitan dengan Global Superstore, ada banyak data, so ada terlalu banyak data. Okay, so it is up to your creativity. So you all nak buat apa jenis infographic yang ada, based on data set ini. Okay, so look at the question. Okay, it must include the analysis from chapter 2 to chapter 4. So for example, chapter 3, we have pivot tables, pivot chart. And then chapter 2, we have the basic Excel functions. And chapter 4, kita ada descriptive statistic. Ya, bukan semua benda yang ada lah, tapi setiap chapter tu mesti ada something, right? And with a brief interpretation atau elaboration. Okay, the paper must be compiled with the following requirement. The aim is to have a data-driven infographic report, satu page saja, and then the font is based on the suitability, design is based on your creativity, and the submission date, is next. So we have, on the 16th of November, right? 16th of November. So this is your due date, right? Okay, contohnya, let's see. Yang ni contohnya. Okay, this is students. Yang ni contohnya. Based on the sales transaction July, dia ada sedikit interpretation, but the information must be clear, right? Yang ni contoh dia. Only one page. And then we have another example like ini. Hijab sales report, right? You have the pivot table, right? And then the chart, sedikit statistic, and this is the table, based on the basic Excel function, right? So this is the infographic, only one page, right? So from this page, yang ni maksudnya dah ada banyak info lah. When people look at it, we know what is the situation, right? Boleh ke kelas? Okay, yang data ini adalah ada banyak info lah, especially on the you can look at the filter kan. So you have so many countries, so ada banyak countries. Doesn't mean that you want to choose all the countries, based on your creativity. Not choose yang Asian country ke, not choose yang Europe ke, based on the skills that we learn, you boleh buat, right? Boleh ke kelas? Then we have this shipping, quantity, order, sales, dan sebagainya. So this is a type of product. Dalam there are 3 types of products sold here, and the sub product, according to this, right? The subcategory. Okay, so I let you to have your own creativity lah, macam mana you nak gunakan data ini to extract the important information, on this Global Superstore order. So kalau kita lihat ni tak bawa maksud data apa kan, kita cuma ada record database saja. But when you process it and then you put it in the infographic, so dia dah ada maklumat yang penting, right? Yang maklumat macam ni. Okay, kelas. I think that's all for today. Any questions?
No, madam.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Azra, for giving me the response. I hope the others also, you have no problem with this tutorial discussion. I hope you have better idea of the analysis and how do you form the hypothesis, kan? And then, yeah. So next class, next math lecture, kita nak lihat another type of hypothesis. Remember, we have 5 types, kan? So far, we have done 2 types. So, setakat this week, kita dah lihat 2 jenis hypothesis. So, make sure yang tak faham tu, you lihat balik nota, and then you cuba buat soalan tutorial and tengok jawapan dia, right? Ya, yang tu saja yang saya boleh bantu setakat ini. But, again, we are not we don't have the physical class, so this is what I can do. So I hope you understand, and then you yourself, you have to take your initiative lah. Kalau tak faham, you kena tanya. So you don't feel like asking me, you can ask your friends lah. So kalau friends masih lagi tak tahu nak jawab, then you can look for me lah to get the explanation, right? Okay, so ODL ni masing-masing lah 2 ways. Kita kena ada 2 ways communication, and then you yourself, you have to have the initiative lah untuk belajar, right? Walaupun ODL, distance learning. Okay, thank you very much, and see you tomorrow. Next week lah. Okay, bye.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you.
Adam,
Ya, idea.
Adam. Boleh tak
Idea.
ajar saya buat conclusion?
Okay. Nak buat
Saya
conclusion
kurang
yang
faham
mana?
buat conclusion.
Ya, conclusion contohnya, lihat yang, look at your, look at the question ke? For example, I look at your question, right? Okay, yang ni conclusion. Okay, ideal. Yang ni pun dah okay kan? You see?
Okay, tapi saya tak faham.
Okay, okay. So idea, you look at here. Kalau your decision is to, your decision adalah reject HO kan? Maksudnya, kita boleh reject null hypothesis terus. Maksudnya, kita tolak sekali, sama sekali yang null hypothesis. Ini bermaksud kita ada bukti yang cukup untuk support alternative hypothesis. So keadaan ini, idea, you forgot to write something. HO kan, HO, what is equals to 35? So mestilah mu kan. So your mu, right? Tak boleh tulis macam tu aja. Okay, so di sini, if your decision is reject HO kan, so that is sufficient evidence to support the alternative hypothesis. So statement ini dah betul, then you continue with, we can conclude that, or it can be concluded that the average age of the respondent is is not equals to 35. So kalau kita punya decision adalah reject HO, kita buat keputusan berdasarkan alternative hypothesis. Kalau kita punya keputusan adalah do not reject HO, kita tak boleh guna lagi statement ini, right? And then kita punya conclusion adalah based on null hypothesis. Boleh tak? Okay, contohnya, this is your here you have so decision di sini you have decision do not reject, kan? Right. So conclusion is that the mean lead time for alarm shooting is not statistically different from many more, right? And that is insufficient evidence to support the alternative. So you boleh guna yang, right? There is insufficient evidence to support alternative hypothesis. So it can be concluded that the mean lead time for Harkey fastener and Mandy valve are the same. So kita kena buat decision, kita kena buat conclusion based on null hypothesis. Kalau decision adalah do not reject issue. Okay. So yang ni boleh. But if your decision is reject issue, kan? So yang ni pun boleh dah, you boleh buat. That is sufficient evidence to support alternative hypothesis. It can be concluded that you kena conclude based on the alternative hypothesis. Sebab your decision is reject issue, kan? Jadi kita kena conclude based on the alternative hypothesis. That means the mean lead time for Fasti aerospace is significantly different from manifold. Yeah. Yang tu clear ke? Idea?
Clear, madam. Okay.
Okay, ada lagi?
Okay, itu ya, madam. Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you. See you again next week. Bye.